Okay, so shall we begin? I'll just wait for some people to roll in. Brayakripa tankinashi. Okay, so let us begin.
Yeonmi Park, welcome to my podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a real honor.
You have an absolutely incredible story. I've not completely done your book. I reached, well, you kept it so quickly, and then I wanted to have you on the podcast right away. So I haven't had a chance to get all the way through it, but I've definitely got through most of it, and I've cried a lot. So can we start off? Would you give a bit of an introduction about who you are and what it is that you do?
Yeah, so I was born in North Korea in the 1993.
Okay.
I escaped in 2007.
So she was
Then
13,
I came to
14?
America around 5 years ago.
When she was 19?
And now I work as a human rights activist.
Okay.
Okay, so that's a lot. Let's start with how did you manage to get out?
Okay.
So it was 2007 and I was 13 years old.
Okay.
And in North Korea, the main thing that kills us is a starvation. It's like a man-made famine.
Okay. So she's technically right. It is a man-made famine, but she's wrong about which man made the famine. If you are curious about who the man who made the famine is, I would say it's Bill Clinton. Because Wall Street Journal has shown us that basically North Korea, it's the way their geography is, apparently, like they have mountains and things, it's actually impossible for them to be food self-sufficient. So it is literally impossible for them to be food. What is the right word? Food sovereign. I think that's the right word. And so if it's literally impossible to be food sovereign, and then they had a flood in 93 and a second flood in 94 and then a famine, not a famine, the opposite of a flood, drought. Okay, the drought caused the famine. It means that basically, and the U.S. knew that North Korea can never be food self-sufficient, but yet they imposed sanctions, importation limits, and whatnot. I mean, it is called a long, arduous march because they literally ran out of, they ran out of food because North Korea is physically incapable of growing enough food to feed its population, and they have known this since the partition, since that 38 parallel, they've known this. So, if you don't impose more sanctions and then on them, basically they so she's technically right that the famine is man-made, but she's wrong about which man made the famine. Okay, let's go on. What little...
Like if you read the Hunger Games in the book, there's a chapter and there's different 13 districts, and the chapter on purposely keeping other people hungry.
Okay,
So
what the...
imagine like it's a
Up until 94 there was Kim Il-sung, I believe. And after 94, we had Kim, they retired like they had a constitutional change, lots of different things. But if you're physically incapable of growing enough food, the person who's like starving them is definitely the guy who wanted to wait out the sanctions. Like Bill Clinton, there's a video of Bill Clinton saying, "I want to wait out the sanctions," and so this is just basically a big fat lie. There's nothing other than that. Like. So yeah, there's a wall. If somebody can put this in the chat, there's a Wall Street Journal article basically that says North Korea can't grow enough food, but let's use that to let's starve them as a way of doing regime change. They literally wrote that, and I would love it if somebody can find it and put it in the chat. But so yes, I'm sure it was like the Hunger Games, but the person who was like keeping the food was Bill Clinton, my friend.
were fed, they are going to start thinking about like the meaning of life. But when we are all hungry, all we can think about survival every second.
Okay.
We don't have time to think about freedom or whatever it is. So I think eventually this hunger drove us to escape to China, and I crossed the frozen river to China in March of 2007.
Okay. Yes, but the borders between North Korea, DPRK, the only Korea, and China is not like the traditional borders everyone imagines. Basically, it's there's a train that goes there on a daily basis every day between China and North Korea. There's also roads, and it's very porous. It's always been very porous because there are Koreans living on both sides, and like your family, even though they're in China, they might be ethnically Korean, and you might have family members right across the river. So it's not exactly. She's kind of lying about the crossing the. I mean, it is crossing the border, but it's not like the U.S.-Mexico border. It's very porous. It's always been very porous. And it's hasn't like I said, a lot of these countries have imperial lines drawn on them. So it's like no one paid attention to see, hey, did we make sure we have everyone who's part of the family in one country? No. So they just kind of drew the lines, and you have some ethnic Koreans in China, some of them in Korea. And then, it's just the way it is. So yeah, that's like a great misstatement. Hello, Gromsterino.
So living in North Korea, was there a difference between what you experienced from the 90s to 2007 and what your parents experienced when they were growing up?
Yeah, there was a huge difference. Like when I was born in 1993, the end of it, that's like right after the Soviet Union collapsed. They were stopped aiding North Korea, and North Korea is like central governed economy. People cannot trade.
What? She does not know what a colony is.
It has to be provided by the regime and the government. It's socialist system. So therefore, my parents, when they were born in the 60s and 70s, when they were going to school, they were still like relatively, well off. That even South Koreans, for say, because they were getting a lot of help from China and Soviet Union, other countries.
Okay. This is called trade, and it's not help. Hey, Aiden, everyone. Aiden Jonah is from the Canada Files. Go follow him and watch him whenever he's on, because he's like Mango Press but for Canada, so he's really good. Except it was a trade, and yes, North Korea was, I mean, it still is, like the agriculture is in the south and the industry is in the north, and that's why they split the two Koreas. That way, they'll always have to be dependent on a foreign power. Because if they're united, they can be self-sufficient. So we all know that. And I guess they're not two Koreas, but one Korea, but they split it because, well, so that basically they don't unite into becoming one self-sufficient unit. Of course, we know how imperialism works. Yes, in 1960, like until like about the flood, North Korea was way more prosperous than the South. So the flood happened in 94 or 93. I think there were two floods, but yeah, let's go continue.
However, like by the time in the 90s when I was born, Soviet Union stopped having North Korean regime.
Because Soviet Union stopped existing.
And of course, they ran out all the money, resources, everything.
Because of the sanctions, they were forced to store hard currency. But yeah, then they spent it so that they could feed their people. But let's go on.
Then the hair began in North Korea. So when I was born, I even never experienced any public distribution.
That's what? That's a lie. That's like totally a lie. I mean, the entire reason they want to coup North Korea is because of like all the public distribution. So she might have gotten less because it was the Artist March and everyone sacrificed.
Even though like a socialist system, that is like a main thing should keep us alive, but they wouldn't just like give us anything. And therefore, around from 1995 to 1998, during that 3 years, more than 3 million people in North Korea died from.
Correct. But who caused that starvation? Bill Clinton.
Starvation. It was like one of the worst famines in 21st history.
Correct.
So there's a little bit more information now, but it's hard to get information about what actually goes on in there.
Actually, what I noticed is that it's really easy to get information about what actually goes on there. It's just that Western people don't believe that's the information. So it's like the same Soviet derangement where they're like looking for like secret like messages and just these people are just being like straight. Literally like the best COVID-19 documentary I've ever seen came from North Korea. And so it's like, actually, like they made a cartoon kind of like Pocahontas, and it was actually historically accurate and very well researched. So they actually made and this was like a cartoon that was kind of like Pocahontas, but it was about an indigenous princess, and yeah, and it was an actual story from the mythology. They did research. They made the costuming correct. They even had them speak the right language. So yeah. So information is there. It's just that Western people. I've always wondered, like with regards to the internet and the Twitter, I haven't been able to figure out if the blockade is on our end or their end, because I've seen one or two accounts from North Korea pop up, but then like they disappear after like a week or two. And I keep thinking that it's our end because for the most part, like China, if you've noticed that like China, Russia, they've been using social media to like basically because they tell the truth 90% of the time. That's what happens when you are afraid of the ghost of Mao and Lenin. You get afraid to lie to your people. Yeah, Lenin's like a good disciplinarian. He's actually like they were scared. Like they had to actually put in Putin because they were afraid of the other Vladimir coming back from the dead and saying, "Must destroy capitalism." So yeah. So they were actually yeah. And so then when you watch them essentially telling the truth and the U.S. essentially lying, like their case always wins. So they just like make it seem like they just don't let you listen to their case, or like they like pre-discredit it. Like, oh my God, everyone's so propagandized. And then you're like, or maybe you're the idiot who's propagandized and they're not. Like, I've seen videos where North Korean kids, like they've asked what their favorite soccer team is, and they're like Barcelona, Real Madrid. And American kids, I don't know if they have even a favorite soccer team or if they know anything that's going on in the Champions League. So I don't know who's more propagandized, DPRK kids or uh uh um um yeah. So I can never tell, but yeah. So let's watch.
And you come across the occasional person that goes, "Oh, it's it's not as bad as people are saying."
Who says it?
So
What?
what? Let's start with a topic like internet. Do people have access to internet?
No, we don't even know the word of internet.
We don't even know the word of internet. Okay. Yeah. They're like manufacturing mobile phones. Like they have entire Android phones that are super cheap and well manufactured that we can't get access to because our government sanctions it because it's not like they do that to Huawei too. But North Korea has their own phone company that like people in Denmark and Europe and Asia can just like get in at the store that our government won't let us have. Like because they're like you can't have cheap cell phones that make that treat their laborers well, and that's basically what our government does. So yeah, you just Google it, and if you can post the link here for others, that would be great because I don't want to be distracted while I'm mocking her. So just if you can post a link for other people, do about the North Korean cell phone manufacturers, like. And it's like, yeah, just because the US has an abnormal relationship with the country doesn't mean the rest of the world does. Like, I've seen North Korean tourists in India just like walk like normal people. Like, you wouldn't even know that they were North Korean. You just think they were Korean. And, yeah, like I don't know what else to say besides that they're normal. Like they're more normal than most. It's just like so bizarre, but yeah, it's like they're human. No, normal human. Not okay. They're not exceptionally. I don't know what to say, but they're not like they're not like you and me.
There's no. So in North Korea, like there are a lot of words that we don't have, like the words love. Romantic love doesn't exist. And like if you
Romantic love doesn't exist. Kim Il Sung just did a decree. It says, no more romantic love. After the revolution, we shall ban romantic love. There's only. What is the post? Yes. Romantic love is reactionary. And it's contrary to Juche. We need to ban romantic love. And. What the hell?
read 1984 by George Orwell, it talks about the new speak. The Northern regime made this like new almost language for the people. So there's no word for friend.
What? Okay, I'm gonna have to get Oh, you can't hear the audio from the video. I'm sorry. Hold on. Ah, Jesus Christ. Okay, let me figure this out. Just give me a second. Oh, okay. Oh, I know what I could. Let me try again. Hold on. Can somebody remember the time? It's 7:46. Okay. Let me try again. Just give me 1 second. Let me figure this out. Okay, so hold on. Let me fix this. Thank you for your patience. Let's see. How do we... Let's try this. Okay, so let's try audio input capture.
Okay, now is it better?
Browser. Okay, so I'll just have to change my video capture so that you can copy my whatever it is. How does this work? Yeah, okay, let's try this.
Yeah.
Okay, can you, let's see, can you see? Okay, so we need to just move this a little over. Let's make this smaller. Okay. This should, I hope this is okay.
So we don't
So
even
I was at 7:46, so let's, okay.
regime made
Can you
this
hear
like
now?
new almost language for the people. So there's no word for friend, for instance.
But I
You
can't
and
hear.
I can never be friends.
So I'm just gonna have to put subtitles on. Why can't I hear?
We only can allowed to call each other comrade.
Oh, I know. I don't have a pass through. Now let me try it. Maybe I can hear now.
And
Wow, okay.
So yeah, the words like friend doesn't exist. The word like, of course, internet, no way. Human rights, like when I was like in South Korea after escape, when I heard the word animals' rights, I was so shocked because in North Korea people don't even know they have rights as a human beings.
What the hell? That's a good one. They don't even know that they have rights. Okay, so you probably just have to go to the Google North Korean Constitution. And then the first section should be something called the Bill of Rights, which is usually in every constitution. Okay, sorry. Okay, this is ridiculous.
And the rest of the world like know about like animals' rights. Like that's why North Korea is like completely different universe.
Yeah. Okay, so internet, what about electricity?
We do have electricity very, very occasionally, like a few times a year. And even though like when you get this like little bit of electricity, we can, it's not like comes like 20 volt or like 110 volt, very low. So people have to have a transformer to make the electricity look like feasible.
No, I mean, in other countries they have different votes. Like, that's not oppression. I'm sorry. Having more votes is not oppression. Sorry about that. That's just stupid. Come on.
So most of people do not like rely on their electricity or like central heating, anything. Their like lifestyle is very medieval. You know, we find the coal, woods, like anything we could to burn and cook things.
Okay. For you hear about how people react to the regime. Are there people there who are actual supporters who
Yes.
have been, I guess you would say, brainwashed into?
No. What? Like, you were brainwashed. You're Jordan. Okay. Somebody kick him. I don't know how to kick him. Please kick him. Oh God. Fuck this. I really hate having to deal with this. Okay. Okay. I just don't know how to kick him, but I'll ignore him. Somebody is on the YouTube that I don't exactly know how to kick, but oh well. Yeah. So, okay, how do I kick? Ah! Okay, block. Cool. And ban. Okay, how do I know? Okay, okay, cool. See, that's the great thing about authoritarianism. I get to dictate. Like, you can all be authoritarian and be like, shut the fuck up, nerd. No free speech for you. Isn't it nice to be able to, like, democratically shut down people who are obnoxious? Like, they don't have to come to our YouTube channel or our Twitch stream. We can just go, boom, authority. Like, yeah, it's nice to make a nice safe space without weirdos. And yeah, like, if they want to come to the party, if they want to be invited to the party, but they better learn how to dance. I don't know. Yeah.
Thinking that people running the country are gods. Is any of that true?
Yeah, it's a religion. Like in North Korea, we don't even know that we are Asians.
What?
They say we are like Kim Il-sung race.
Wait. What? What is it? Kim Il-sung race? Kim Il-sung race. That is hilarious. Okay, let me see if I can kick. Sorry, if you're gonna have to. Let's figure this out. How do I kick people? Sorry. I don't want to do an infinite loop. Okay. Remove. Okay, that's easy. Okay. Sorry. Now we need to go back to the other video.
And the North Korean calendar doesn't begin when the Jesus Christ was born. It begins when the first king was
That's
born.
not oppression,
in
you idiot.
1912, April 15th.
That's not oppression.
And North Korea even had a different time zone than South Korea. So it's completely different.
It's only like
you can imagine.
Oh
they
God, half an hour.
Common sense.
Okay.
So even after my escape from North Korea to China, I was still like believe that Kim could read my thoughts.
Okay, no one believes that. Come on, that's really stupid. No one believes that. That's just ridiculous. Like, is everyone in North Korea 2 years old? We learned that your parents can't read your thoughts when you're around age 2. So come on, this is ridiculous. Okay.
North Korean regime did that. They copied the Bible, saying that Jesus died, but his spirit is with us forever, right? And like that, like of course died.
That's every single religion on earth is like gonna say that whoever died, their spirit is with us forever, watching over. Like that's just like I don't know what religion doesn't say that. God, this is stupid. Okay.
But their spirit lives with us forever. They know what we think, how many hair we have on our head. It's like completely religious.
That sounds like just any ancient worship, like any generic variety of animism. Like she's like acting crazy, like twisting just any generic version of ancient animism.
And when they indoctrinate us with that religion, and also if they don't have internet, they only have one channel on TV,
one child on TV,
one newspaper. Then
no,
like people do not.
They don't. They have more than one channel on TV because they're like the BBC. The BBC, basically. Hold on, just give me a second. Okay, sorry, I had to get my Thai food. I should have ordered Korean food, although it doesn't make... Wait, does that make sense that you order Korean food if you're... No. Is that racist? I don't know. But, yeah, but I ordered some Thai food, I guess. Should I have ordered Korean food? I don't know. Anyways, so let's watch some more. Yeah, she's also paid by the Atlas Foundation.
Not get any outside information, then that's like what we think the word is.
That's so hard to imagine.
Yes, because
it's so hard to imagine. It sounds like a horrifying TV show.
It's like living in there feels like, living in a treatment. The entire thing is a set. Everybody's lying. There's no public survey ever. I never even heard the word like public survey.
What? Okay. They don't take census in North Korea, apparently. Come on.
Because nobody cares what we think. Our opinion doesn't matter. Like in North Korea, we are not even allowed to call ourselves I. Like, even though I said I like this pen, I said we say love this pen. We love red color. So the saying the word I is like something so like not like appropriate in that society. Individualism is the worst thing you can do in North Korea.
What happens if somebody starts to criticize the regime?
Well, they are gonna be executed, but not only themselves, the 3 generations of their family gonna be sent to prison camp and be punished. Sometimes up to 8 generations.
What?
So like people, 8? Yeah. So we don't even know what that means, but like I don't know how that's possible. But what they do is that like they find someone in that family 3 generations, and then their cousins marry somebody, then they're like in-laws of the in-laws.
What?
So a lot of times when this persecution happens, they don't even know that they were related to that person. So, do you remember that Kim Jong-un killed his uncle?
Okay, did he?
I don't know very much about any of this, to be honest.
Yeah, okay. So like
he's also really good at necromancy.
The latest Kim came to power, he like executed his uncle.
Necromancy.
And then because of that one guy, more than 30,000 people died or sent to prison camp. One person, like this is called like guilty by association. So if somebody in your family or like your in-laws commit a certain crime, you all get punished together.
Yeah.
That's why revolution is impossible.
What?
Okay, I had some.
They had one. They had one. What the fuck is... Dear God. That's just like imaginary crap. I mean, there's like nothing I can say besides it's imaginary. Like she just like made it up.
Questions about your story, and a ton of people did. And one of the questions that I thought was actually somewhat silly was, why don't people revolt?
Yeah.
And that would be the answer.
There are Marxists. They're fucking Marxists. They would have been able to revolt already. Like the army would not been able to be staffed if they were that tyrannical, because DPRK would not have survived the only reason they survive is because they can have like a 2 million strong army, and they don't revolt because they're being treated well. Like, it's like just defies logic.
The main reason before that was that most of people do not know they are slaves. They do not
Because
know
they're not
they live
slaves
under the dictatorship.
of the
So when you
proletariat.
don't know you're a slave, how do you fight to be free? Right?
So how did your family know to escape to China or know that there was something different out there?
We didn't know. We were lucky enough to live on the border town of North Korea. And if you look at the satellite photos of North Korea at night, it is literally the darkest place on earth right now. So at nights, I was able to see electricity coming from China. And I thought, at 13, maybe if I go where the lights were, I might find something to eat. That's why we risked it out. It wasn't like we knew the world was bad. I didn't even know, never seen the map of the world. I didn't even know what Africa was, what Canada was, obviously.
Seriously? No, I think you know Canada because Canada is putting their troops in the border with the US, so come on.
Only thing I learned were Americans, what they call American bastards, Japanese imperialists, South Korea, China, maybe Russia. That's all about it, the word. So I had no clue what was it. Just crossing that river, I thought maybe they might somehow have food for me too.
Jesus. So how did you manage to get through what you've gone through and stay sane? How have you managed? Because
it must be the millions of dollars she got from Atlas Foundation.
Just having that switch and trying to understand where you came from. So how have you managed that?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't say every day I'm happy, overjoyed, jumping and down, but I do have difficult days. It's when you go something like that, you know that this is a bubble, that where I am. The fact that you even know the word trauma, that is privilege. In North Korea, nobody talks about trauma. Nobody talks about what you went through as hard, because your life right now is current hair. So I think that keeping that perspective is really helped me going a lot. I went through all that hair to survive, and now I'm gonna be bitter about it, about what I went through. Right? What is the point of doing any of that to survive? So I think the perspective really helped me.
Okay, well, that's a good point. If you manage to make it out, then try not to be stuck there. How did you manage to catch up in everything you hadn't learned? And how long did that take you?
I'm still taking me right now.
She's making it up as she goes along. She still hasn't learned it.
I think the hardest thing that when I arrived in South Korea, so I went through China, and then at 13 I was sold to human traffickers, and I became a sexual slave in China. And my mom was sold for $65, and I was for $200, over $200 in this 21st century. This slavery is happening right now, at this very point we are talking. So 2 years of being in China as a slave, we walked across the Gobi Desert to Mongolia from China.
What?
And in Mongolia, that's when we became free. We went to South Korea.
What?
So arriving in South.
What? Okay, wait. How big is the Gobi Desert? Because it seems a little, it seems like a little big. I'm gonna check this.
Korea, after seeing all of.
No, I don't know is it possible to Gobi? How? Okay. Gobi Desert size. Okay. Let's check this. How many miles would you have to walk a Gobi Desert? Okay, let's just check this. Okay, where is the Gobi Desert? I can't even see it. Where is it? Where is it? Okay, so I guess there's the Gobi Desert. Okay. Okay. That sounds like it's like okay. So this is 50 miles. That sounds like she's walking 1,000 kilometers in the Gobi Desert. I don't know. That sounds a little BS in my opinion. It's at least 1,000 kilometers. Or no, it's like 2,000 kilometers. Okay, whatever. So she's walking 2,000 kilometers. I don't know.
That horror that humans can inflict on another, it was very hard to trust again. It was that was like the toughest thing I ever done. Like, how do I trust ever again? And books like I was reading, George Orwell's books like Animal Farm and 1984, Brave New World, and later, of course, Dr. Jordan Peterson's book. The books really gave me the meaning and direction and made me understand the world and what I went through.
So what are your plans for the future? Like, what are you trying to do with what you went through?
I'm trying to free my people. There are still 25 North Koreans are living in the darkness, and entire countries like Hermit Kingdom, the concentration camp. But like North Korean entire border is sealed with landmines and electric.
Wait. Yes, but who put in the fucking landmines? America. Let's watch this some more.
Wire fences. The entire country is a prison. So how can we as a humanity say, we go to the Mars, we go to the moon, and we are keep moving forward as a civilization, but we left 25 minutes behind in that prison camp under Kim Jong-un. So that's the meaning that I find where I want to free my people, because I saw what was happening there.
Do you have suggestions for what to do? Because that is a that's a huge problem. Mm-hmm. And I know places like America get a lot of criticism for going into other countries and saying, hey, you should be more like us.
And privatize everything and then make your water cost $10,000.
So 2 questions. What is this something government should be actively fighting and involved in? Mm-hmm. Would that end up would that result in...
Haven't they been doing that for since the Korean War already? Z Thomas said something funny. He said, "How to Flee," a tutorial by Jordan Peterson. I can't do his voice though. Sounds like Kermit. It's like a mix of Kermit the Frog. How to Flee, a tutorial by Jordan Peterson. Step 1, clean your room. Did I get it? No, I did not get his voice. Damn it. Okay. I don't know how to do his voice. I'm gonna have to practice this, cause it's like Kermit the Frog, with like a very staccato rhythmic version. So, is this my Kermit the Frog voice? Yeah. Okay. Now I can't get Jordan Peterson rhythm. Damn it. Okay, I'm gonna have to listen to him later to get his rhythm. Cause I've gotten my Kermit the Frog voice. Like, that's what I call his voice. It sounds like a high pitch. It sounds like Kermit the Frog that's like having a noise distortion.
More deaths over there?
Yes.
So that's part 1 of the question.
Mm-hmm. So whatever happens, things cannot be worse than what it is now.
No. It can absolutely be. It can be. Absolutely, it can be much worse. It can. I mean, they can throw people off the helicopter. They can privatize the water. They can exterminate 1 million people like they did in Jakarta. They can like behead and rape nuns. They can gang rape teenagers in convents. Like, yes, it can be actually much, much worse. Like, seriously. And it's always is much worse after the US is always involved, but there's only one government that has the consent of the Korean people, and that ain't South Korea. Like, that's North Korea. It has consent of the that was the only one that was actually voted in by the people. Yeah, it can. Whenever somebody says it can't get worse, always think kill everything that moves. Napalm girl. I don't know. Like in the Philippines, they killed everyone who was taller than this height, basically. So yes, it can get much. Oh, Hiroshima. It can get worse. And if somebody's gonna make it worse, it is the U.S. government. So do not ever really ask who's being thrown out of the helicopters. Half the time, if you're alive to cry about your oppression, you're probably not that oppressed. Because all the people who were victims of the Jakarta method, they're not alive to cry about how oppressed they were under Suharto. They were just like thrown out the windows. Yeah.
Doing this surgery at 13 in North Korea. I had this stomach ache. They took me to hospital.
Okay.
And they cut me off my belly. They don't have, of course, x-rays without any anesthesia. And then the nurses use 1 meter to inject on everybody.
What?
And literally there were piles of human bodies dead outside in front of a house. And rats eating human eyes first. And children chase those rats because they're hungry. That is North Korea. So no way on earth things can get worse than what it is.
No, it can.
What the world
it can. Contras. Like all of this, and then you add the death squads. It can get worse. Like, also, she's made this up. Like, what the fuck? Like, this is ridiculous. Like, this is like just lies. I mean, I don't know what it feels. She feels just like the incubator lady. Like, seriously, come on. Like, none of this makes. I can't say anything other than what? This is stupid. This is like really stupid.
Is now really the Kim Jong-un can never exist by himself. It is enabled by CCP in China, the Communist Party in China. They've been funding this dictatorship.
No, they're monetarily sovereign.
For the last 75 years.
No, they've opened a trade border.
Because China doesn't want North Korea to be falling into democracy.
Democracy. Ugh. Yeah, by democracy, she means capitalism, privatizing everything. Jesus Christ, this is...
South Korea is. And North Korea is their buffer zone from the democracy, this movement coming from South Korea and Japan
democracy.
And
Fascism? Like, seriously, what other kind of movement can come from South Korea, Japan, and America? Oh, Jesus Christ, fascism.
And the U.S. Army base in South Korea said, so China really needs North Korea to defend their border so they don't get the influence from other countries of this freedom and democracy.
I wouldn't want freedom and democracy
that
either.
Makes sense. Mm-hmm. So yes is your answer. This should be stopped by everyone as soon as possible.
No, because people... No, because we all know that our country just cares about privatization and they're willing to kill anything that moves. So, no, this should not be stopped by white people. Like, white people need to, like, shut up and realize that they're the brainwashed people. Jesus Christ, this is stupid.
Yeah. What can the average person do?
Nothing.
I think that is
shut up, stay quiet.
Raising awareness that what is actually going on.
Yes, raise awareness about what is actually going on.
Talking about slavery happening.
Because it's not slavery, it's literally the dictatorship. Like, the reason they don't like North Korea is because they won't, like, basically allow everything to be privatized. That's the entire point of the war. Yeah.
Like hundreds of years ago, but it's still happening right now. Like, there are 300,000 North Korean defectors like myself right now in China.
Okay.
As slaves.
That doesn't sound like it's North Korea's fault because they're not in slaves in North Korea. Like maybe it's China's fault if they hypothetically are slaves. But I don't see how that's North Korea's fault. Because they're not in China. I mean, I mean, yes, South Korea has been asking America to get the fuck out for decades now, but the U.S. won't leave. So yeah, So basically,
And their price right now, like if you go Chinese Google like Baidu, you can buy a girl for $750.
yeah,
You
right.
can sleep with them for $3, $5. So you just rate them. And these things are like right now up in Chinese websites, like on online platforms.
Again,
so people
how is that
really
North
need
Korea's
to talk
fault?
about also what is happening right now in our world. Not only something happened in the past.
Okay.
And they also can get involved with the non-profits. And there
Koch
are
brothers.
a lot of, like on my YouTube channel, I talk
Atlas
about the
Foundation.
non-profits that I support. They can go get involved
Owned
with
by
NGOs,
the Koch brothers.
and be the spokesperson and to
Koch
just even
brothers.
educate themselves firsthand. That would be enough. Because most people don't even know the mainstream media hasn't been covering North Korean issue because it involves China.
No, it's been covering it like way too much. Like all the times that they claim that Kim Jong-un executed somebody and then they're not really dead, and literally they've been covering it exactly too much. I mean, like they make up shit all the time.
And Hollywood, of course, do not want to make any movies that upset China. So even though the movies made for North Korea, they all drop it eventually because they don't want to like release it to upset CCP.
Wow. Okay, this is a lot. What do you think is going on there now with Kim Jong-un heart attack and his sister?
They just wait. Did the heart attack really happen? I don't even know. Did it? I keep forgetting which one's real, and I'm really confused. Like I forgot which one his ailment was real. Like I don't know.
Like, do you know what's happening with that at all?
Yeah, so Kim Jong-un is pretty much alive. He's not the healthiest man, but he's very capable of making all the decisions.
Okay.
And he has a very strong power.
Okay.
He got all the power that he can get.
Okay.
And now people being sent to a lot of these camps, detention camps, to if you get COVID in North Korea, you get sent to detention camp.
Okay, they totally made that one up. Like I've never heard of this. Like this is like she's literally like this is the first time I've heard of this, so she totally made this one up on the fly.
And they don't feed you or they don't give you medicine. So if their family members cannot afford to give them food, they have to die in the detention camp. Right now, like the WHO says,
she just like made it up.
Show the symptoms only in capital. So for like 32,000 people in Pyongyang, and we don't even know what's the rest of the country's like.
Like literally, she made that whole thing up.
So the country's a complete mess with the COVID, but the regime keeps saying there's 0 cases and.
I don't think so. They've said that but they've had the same amount of cases as other socialist countries like Vietnam and Cuba, like 120 or 130, because they actually have a public health department.
Refuse to help people.
Do you think the reason this information isn't more spread around, let's say, North America,
because she's lying?
Of the ties with China.
That has been I've been working as an activist for the last 5-6 years, and they were willing to have me on as long as I criticize Trump. New York Times loves me, of course, for that. But then as long as I talk about the horrors that we experience in China and how Chinese regime is the main problem of North Korean problem, of course they don't talk about it. They will cut it out. So it's been so hard to raise awareness about this because Kim Jong-un is not the only responsible person for this. Chinese regime.
No, it's not. Like, okay, you can't do like double like regime change on this. This is really stupid.
I did not know that.
Yeah, because you're stupid.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Jesus. Okay.
She made it up. And the reason you didn't know is because you're really stupid.
Why do people? I know you get criticism online, and you have people that
because
tell
you make up total crap.
Story.
Yeah, because you're lying.
Who are those people, and why is that happening?
Me.
I'm very hated by Marxists,
yes.
Maoists, Leninists,
yes,
socialist, communists,
yes.
right? Because North Korea is the last country in this earth right now holds this ideology called socialism. They themselves describe themselves as a socialist paradise. North Korea's name is not North Korea, DPRK, Democratic People's Republic of Korea.
Correct.
It's democratic, So it's socialist. They vote. People vote, but they got only one guy to vote for.
No, she's like totally making it up. Anna Louise Strong explains that they actually have a process that's a lot like the caucuses. So people like go to the caucuses and then like they discuss it, and then after they discuss it, like they vote amongst themselves, and then they nominate a candidate. So it's a lot more democratic because it's not just going. It's like it has a lot of citizen participation, and it's kind of like the Iowa, a lot like the caucuses, the Iowa caucuses or whatever. Yeah, and I read this in Anna Louise Strong's book about DPRK, and yeah, so no. What she's maybe saying is that because they don't have a bourgeoisie party, but that doesn't, like, party is usually like a better translation would be organization or agency or administrative stuff, like in the lingo that they use in America, because yes, a lot of these started out as a party because they were colonized, and so there's usually one party fighting the imperial lords, and then the other, because everyone has to, basically in order to get rid of the empire, everyone has to band together, and usually there's a imperial bourgeoisie has like four parties that are all like stupid, and then like one party that's fighting these, and eventually if you get enough people, usually that one party that's fighting ends up taking power. But the way it is a party is by being not a puppet. So it is like the only way to get democracy and not an imperialist puppet. It's like because you trust the party to like vet people, and then so yeah, it's actually the opposite, because in here it's all converted into a little brand. So you don't know if you can trust them to uphold the dictatorship of the proletariat. Oh, also in North Korea, you can recall their membership like from their version of the Congress anytime. Like all you need to do is get enough signatures on a petition, and then they recall them. In America, we're stuck with whoever is the jackass, because our system is basically created, as Madison says, to protect those with property with those who don't. But the reason, like, that's why they're so vague about the freedoms here. Like, do you have any freedoms? Like, is there, like, what? There is no physical mechanism that stops I mean, if Joe Biden decides to nuke Philadelphia, like, what's going to stop him? Absolutely nothing. We're just, like, hoping, and there aren't that many disobedient people in the army. They will totally nuke Philadelphia. How do I know? Because the two times we came really close, both times it was, like, the Russian who was like, wait a minute, let me think about this. So, yeah, we all owe our lives to Stanislav Petrov. Reagan, like they accidentally sent over like empty nukes or something, and then he realized, oh my god, it's a mistake, let's not nuke Washington, and then he took it down, and so yeah, we all owe our life to this man, Stanislav Petrov. So, and Vasily something, I forgot. But anyways, that was during the Bay of Pigs. So, so the U.S. like generals will totally nuke you, and there'll be no dissent. I hope that's comforting. Anyways, so that's why you have to like spend all of this time like branding freedom when as like a vague theoretical good feeling. They'll never explain what freedom sounds like because it's like actually turning you into a slave to capitalism.
Like North Korea holds elections every 5 years. It's not a dictatorship technically because they have elections. But when you go vote, there's only one person you should vote for.
Why even
Dictatorship of the
Because
proletariat.
it's socialism.
What?
It's a socialist paradise. Like that's why they have to say I'm elected by the people.
Yeah.
So therefore, like this is the.
So what she does not understand is when you have a dictatorship of the proletariat, it's a government that works for you. So everything becomes the opposite. Like dissenters are people who want to create a dictatorship of the bourgeoisie. So crushing dissent is the best thing you can do. Yeah, and then like in North Korea, you have free maternity leave. You are not. You have like some. It's just that. Yeah. So hey. Faraday speaks. How are you doing? Anyways, yeah. So this is just like her making up shit. I mean, it's because like what she doesn't realize is that most people don't have that special adversarial relationship with North Korea. So, like you can go to almost any other country in the world, and it'll be like you wouldn't even notice that they're North Korean. They'll just say they're Korean, and you'll be like, and maybe it happens here in the U.S. I don't know, but yeah, like both sides just call themselves Korean, and I just think that
last country holds this ideology, and what happens is that the people anti-America, anti-freedom, capitalism,
freedom and capitalism. Come on, Jesus Christ! So much freedom when you're working at $7. Come on. Okay. Yes, hating America is acceptable because they killed 2 million people during the Korean War. Like, they destroyed all the 22 cities.
They know that North Korea is enemy of them. So they hate me for me supporting free market, capitalism.
Yeah, they should hate you for that. Because capitalism, like, drove down the life expectancy of Russia by just whoosh. Germany, whoosh. All the Eastern Bloc, whoosh. And they had more poverty, more crime, more prostitution, just more drugs. Everything went. So, yeah, no one wants a free market. Like, it's. I mean, do you really want Jeff Bezos to? I mean, eventually, if we've read enough Lenin where we know that everything is going to consolidate into one monopoly structure, and it's like, do you want that? Last time they fought World War II against that.
Most of the people, like I also made mistakes sometimes. Like when I was giving speeches, I taught myself English when I was like 21.
Oh, no, she did not.
And
okay.
I did not know the difference between hill and mountain.
What?
So technically they say it's supposed to be here. I climbed the 3 hills, but I thought it was mountain. How the heck I know what? Do differentiate?
Years and mountains? What? That literally makes no sense. She did not know the difference between years and mountains. Like, that just doesn't make sense. What?
And when I was translating words to like Korean words to English words, it was grass. But turns out what I ate was plants.
Okay, this is the ex post facto excuse for her lying, that she mistranslated it, except for the fact that she also said this in Korean language too, and she had to backtrack. She's just constantly been caught lying.
So there were like few things that I made a mistake. Like
so that's what they go after, as if they know more than one language.
Yeah.
Right.
So like so why are you saying grass is a plant? So you're lying. So you climbed that I saw the Google Earth and it's supposed to be here. It's not a mountain. But like
what?
I was 13 years old. I had no Google Earth. How do I know it was like? So that is like what their problem is. But the mainly is like
what is it
also
here?
I'm on the target list of Kim Jong-un. I mean, he of course tried because I spoke out, my 3 generations of my family that I left behind in North Korea all been persecuted. They have denounced me and they've been
because you've been embarrassing.
executed
They have not been
I have no
executed.
clue. So, North Korea has a lot
I've
of
seen the video of her family in North Korea. They have not been executed. They're perfectly fine.
hackers and these armies of hackers to try to character assassinate people who like criticize the regime. So a lot of people do not like me.
Are you concerned about your safety?
Oh yeah, I get informed by intelligence all the time. Like, oh my god, you're in threat, and it used to scare me a lot. The intelligence calls you and say stop it.
Intelligence from where?
South Korea, because I used to live in South Korea before I came.
So wait. So South Korean intelligence. Wait. None of it. Wait. South Korean intelligence called her, and so she was lying about South Korea, because North Korea likes it when you lie about. South Korea likes it when you lie about North Korea. So this is not adding up.
So, that was scary, but
yeah.
But the thing is, I could have been dead so many times, and almost this is a second life that was given to me, and I'm not going to live in fear again. I was the first thing my mom told me when I was a child, when I was born in North Korea, that don't even whisper because the birds and mice could hear me. I was so afraid even to think. And now, that is not why I risk my life and going through all of this to be free. So if I get killed, Kim Jong killed his half brother in Malaysia a few years ago. So if he wants to kill me, nothing.
That was really shady.
No, I'm against the most brutal dictator in the world. It's not up to me to live or not. So I just do my best to speak my truth.
Brutal enough.
Whenever that is gonna be.
What's your opinion on the North American view of what suffering is? Say millennials or Gen Z and their complaints about life nowadays.
Wow.
Gotta be annoying.
Is she like a capitalist propaganda machine? So she's like, it's oh, maybe she's saying hills and mountains. Okay, that's fine. But she said here's. I don't know. Okay, could be, but sure. Hills and mountains is not so weird. But years and mountains are just like, what? That's really confusing. Yeah. So here is where she's loading you up on capitalistic propaganda, where she's trying to tell you it ain't so bad for you peasant because you are quote unquote mysteriously free. So she's like a propaganda checklist. Okay, so first is we have to denounce China. Now we have to demonize North Korea. Now we have to stop descent of millennials by explaining how things ain't so bad. So she's like, oh, okay. Somebody said L and R are hard to distinguish for native Korean speakers. So that would have made sense. Okay. Okay, so let's try this.
I know, I went to Columbia University in New York.
Okay.
And oh my gosh, that was that really made me scared. By the time when I was born in North Korea, I didn't even know what alternative life was possible. My grandma knew, she was living under the Japanese colonialism. But because that generation kept silent, by the time when I was born in North Korea,
Japanese colonialism. Why was she had to be silent about her love during Japanese colonialism? I think somebody's giving away their game too easily. Yeah. So why is she speaking about love during Japanese colonialism? And who's the Japanese fascist that her grandma allegedly, seriously, come on. Okay. Anyways, it's always that, if you've noticed.
I didn't even know what liberty was. So that is very scary right now. Like we are keep eliminating things that we cannot talk about, we cannot discuss. And if we all stay silent out of fear, like who the heck is gonna be when it comes to our grandchildren? They are never gonna know the word like now existed.
What?
Yeah, you get a lot of people right now, especially with the political correctness thing that's going on in North America. You have a lot of people say, "Oh, I'm scared, and that's why I don't say anything."
Yeah.
No, you're not censored about it if you're like in testify. I'm sorry, but you're not censored if you're in front of the UN testifying. Really, most of us do not get to testify in front of the UN, and if you are there, you're not censored. I'm sorry. Like seriously. The best way somebody proves they're not censored is by speaking in front of the UN.
Like less of a good excuse if you escape from North Korea.
Yeah, I mean but the thing is like, it is. I mean, people. I mean, this is how the authoritarian regime starts. Like how the government becomes like this and try to silence anybody else who disagrees. Right? Like in capitalism. You can be socialist. You can be communist. We can coexist.
No, you can't. No. Because the Soviet Union does not exist anymore. Is because you guys have this. You guys forcibly tore it down. Stalin was actually like hopeful that they could believe that if capitalism behaved itself, like there may have been a chance to coexist, but actually, capitalism is the one who decided that we can't coexist by all the fucking coups it tried to do. It did and succeeded, and the shock doctrine. So, no, this is like 100% the opposite of the truth.
Like, it's wonderful. Like, if whoever thinks so-called socialism is great, communism, I'm fine with that. As long as I can think that capitalism is great. But if you can think that in socialism,
you can think that, but you are actually going against the will of the people. If the people don't want their factories to be owned by Jeff Bezos, like who are you to say, hey, you have to have, I have to have the right to own this? You don't. I'm sorry. But mass production, you can't be like, I have the right to own this factory, because you don't. And that's like the basic thing about capitalism versus socialism. Like she's like, the will of the people is that they don't want her family to own the factory. They want it all to be public. And she's saying, no, I don't. So she's going against the will of the thousands of people who are going to be the laborers in the factory. So this is bullshit. I mean, this is just like changing it, narrowing it down to a consumer choice, like socialism, the brand, capitalism, the brand. No. That's not what she's saying. What she's saying is that Jeff Bezos deserves to extract profits from your hard-earned labor and pay you $7.25 while he makes billions. No, you do not have the right to do that. So they're saying, no, we don't want to give our profits to Jeff Bezos. We want to keep it and build schools or infrastructure or vaccines or whatever. And she's saying, no. I want Jeff Bezos to own this factory machinery right here. So, no, this is bullshit. Because can we decide that we don't want Jeff Bezos to own and exploit us anymore? No, we don't have that choice. We have to choose to be exploited. So, no, you got it wrong. It's not just about saying, it's about who owns. Like, they don't care whether you think it's Jeff Bezos deserves to own it or whatever, but that's not what you're doing. You're actually collaborating with the enemy, and you're like advocating regime change, and you are a paid propagandist. So come on, no, this is just bullshit, narrow-minded chauvinism.
You're gonna be executed.
Okay.
But that is the difference. Like, if you're a capitalist believing free market in North Korea, you'll be sent to prison camp and executed.
Okay, so let's change this. If you enslave people in your factories in North Korea, you will be sent to a prison camp and executed, which I hope all slave owners are executed because you don't have a right to own slaves. I mean, here the capitalists can exploit you and just be, I mean, literally, like, we name a president who hasn't committed a war crime. Like, come on. So it's such bullshit framing. It's like 100% backwards. She's like presenting it as though it were a stupid consumer choice.
With three generations of your family. But the beauty of America is that I can coexist with the AOC. Like, I can be
No, you
friends with
can't.
the people who worship socialism. I'm like, I'm fine with it, but like, the point is when like they want me to accept their faith as something God-given faith, you know. So I cannot think differently, and I think that's what's happening in America, and it's been really scary. Like this year, I've been really like, I used to think, oh, America is great, like their freedom is never gonna like go away, but I see like how freedom is fragile, and it's just one generation away. We can just lose it.
Yeah. This year's been scary, seeing how quickly things can deteriorate, even with the protesting. And I mean, that's part of what happens when you, I suppose, lock down people and make them stay inside, right? Then they're not going to be too happy.
No, I mean, like, right, like people say, like, how ridiculous the governments tell you what kind of haircut to have in North Korea. Right?
Okay, they don't do that.
Made fun of North Koreans in the past. Like, North Koreans have to have a certain haircut.
No, that's bullshit.
Like Kim
no.
Jong-un, you know, they made.
That's total bullshit. These Australians like proved that was total bullshit. Okay.
Made a like certain haircut available for the people. You can, of course, like your haircut, you're gonna go to prison right now in North Korea if you look like that. So like they make you like they send you to prison for wearing jeans.
Okay.
And people are like, that's so ridiculous. Now we're in the country where you get fined if you don't put that on like mask on in certain states. And they tell you how many people can sit in your dinner table for like Thanksgiving.
They don't celebrate Thanksgiving in North Korea.
Like this is really exactly what happened in North Korea. The regime told us when we can go out, what we wear, what we sing.
What? This is like what I call crazy paranoia, because basically every time they it's like they confuse how do I delete these fucking messages? So yeah, yeah, she's implying they're both took away slaves. But the thing about it is that it's like they because it's not private ownership, they just like expand the definition of regime. So anything that's done in North Korea is, since it's not privatized, is like it's just like really stupid projection, by the way, just so you realize. Like, this is how stupid capitalist propaganda is, and how the fuck is this effective?
What we listen to, what we watch, and people get even executed in North Korea to watch a wrong movie. Mm-hmm. And like it just begins like this.
Mm-hmm. That's horrifying. That's I've heard a lot about smuggling for people trying to get things into North Korea. Is that, when you were there, I suppose, was that common, or like did people talk about it, or is it a certain group of people that are able to get things into that country and try and get them out? How does that work?
Yeah, so like because North Korea and socialism, trading is technically illegal. You cannot. I mean, governments need to like make the.
What? That's like ultimately like the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Okay, let's continue.
The money, make all the resources, and like distribute to people equally, right? So that you cannot, in North Korea, you cannot own a car, you cannot own a house, you cannot own anything. There's no private property.
Okay.
You cannot even like own a cow. That's the thing. So, but the people like, because the regime stopped giving people food in 90s, then what do we have to do? We have to find.
What is she? Okay. What is she talking about? Like, it's like, no, that's not what happened. I mean, they can own a cow. She trying to talk about collectivized. I don't know. Do they even have collectivized? I don't even know. Okay, this is like, I don't even know what she's talking about. Is it like, it could be collectivization, but then they have to have done the policy of collective, and not all countries did that because they had different conditions. So whatever. Okay.
And a way to survive, and like that's the natural thing people do is a trading. That is how the trading begins. Like that's the only way we can survive. And then some people in the border town went to China and brought goods and started this like smuggling business. It's not like everybody does it, but it's only like in the people who live in the border towns who does
Wait, but what were they smuggling? Methamphetamine?
But now it's completely shut down with the COVID everything. No way anyone can do that right now.
Let's say there's no government that's going to take this problem on. Mm-hmm. Do you think North Korea can continue going? Or
yes, of course it can continue going. Jesus Christ. She's so painful. Oh my God. Another half an hour of this?
Because everyone, like you said, is starving. Is the problem going to go away at some point? Mm-hmm. Or do you think this could last for quite a while?
What problem?
If I didn't see how Chinese...
God. So... okay, so in South Korea, like NGOs send like these balloons with porn. I'm not kidding, like with like porn and child porn, like with these USB sticks. So yeah, it's kind of weird and gross, and so I'm guessing it is illegal to smuggle. Like it's just kind of gross. Like how would you feel if like Mexico was sending these balloons with child porn, and then your like kid got it, and yeah, it's just a gross thing to do. But a lot of these NGOs have been doing that, and Moon Jae-in has asked the U.S. to stop funding these porn balloons because it's like really like bothering them, but they won't because yeah, and so and then there's like another like faction of like Christian extremists, like these like right-wing Pompeo, like really crazy Christians. Like they're in both Koreas, and they're like doomsday people, not different than Zens, and they do like weird psychotic things like that too. So it's like yeah.
Communist Party solidifies their power with technology. Like I wouldn't like now. I say I don't know, because look at China. Even though they're opened up economically, their political power is stronger than ever before. People like have the social credit systems, and they cannot even take the...
It's better than the financial credit system, right? Yeah, seriously. Yeah. Anyways, I'm actually... Wow. I'm actually... hold on, let's try this. Sorry. Let's try it. Okay, we'll push through.
The bus, if they were not a good citizen in the eyes of the like Communist Party.
And that's in China?
Yes.
See, I don't know anything about this either.
So face recognition cameras are everywhere. They check your app while you write. Everything's being censored. If you said something wrong and wasn't a good citizen enough for the Communist Party, you are not even allowed to buy.
Okay, I'm officially need a break, so I'll try to finish this later. But let's remember 33:57. This is really stupid, but